Hello, in this video I want to show you how I created this effect in Pico-8. So this is a project that I recently did. It's up on my itch.io page if you would like to see it for yourself. There's also a cool synthwave song playing too. But I really want to focus on the method I used to create the sun, because it's a really useful and interesting method that has a lot of applications. So I'll give you a brief overview of how it works. So the sun here is a sprite, but that sprite is being generated every frame by drawing it on the screen first, and then it's copying the memory from the screen into the sprite sheet. And now that it's a sprite, it can be used in, for example, here you can see it's being drawn on top of the sky gradient. So it's a really powerful method. So I'll show you now step by step how it works. So when you first run the program, the first thing it does is it draws this gradient for the sun, and then it draws the black stripes through it, and then makes it circular, and it does this with a circular mask. So that's right here on the sprite sheet. It uses this to make the sprite circular, and then what it does is it draws that same mask off to the right. So now what we've got here is the sun sprite being drawn on the left, and then we've got the mask on the right. And now here's the clever bit: we use memcpy. And so what this is doing is it's copying to the sprite sheet, that's what that address is, from the screen, that's what that address is. And then this is the length, the amount of memory to be copied, so this is the length of half the screen or half the sprite sheet. So now what we end up with is when you run the program, it draws the sun into this part of the sprite sheet, because we've drawn it on the screen and then copied it from the screen memory into the sprite memory. You can look up on the Pico-8 wiki what different addresses do. So the index of 0 is the beginning of the sprite sheet, and the index of 0x6000 is the beginning of the screen memory. So that's why that works. So now once we've got the sun sprite into the sprite sheet, well, now we can use it as a sprite. So if we go down here to where the sun is being drawn, here we go. So here's the sun being drawn just onto the screen. So this will, now that it's a sprite, it'll be drawing over top of everything else, which is great. But also, we can create this glow effect that you see here by switching the palette to be darker. I have the colors arranged in a descending gradient, so when it switches the palette, each color in the palette from I to I+1, that's just making the colors darker. So it draws the darker sprite, and then 4 times offset in the 4 different directions, left, right, up, and down. That's what these arrays are doing. And so that's how it's creating that glow effect. But you can see how we are able to draw the sprite using all these functions, and it's all procedural, and it's got some nice animation to it, and then copy it into the sprite sheet, and now we have all the functionality of a sprite, so we're really getting the best of both worlds. So hopefully this was helpful, hopefully you learned something, and I'll see you later.